everybody and welcome to this video on factorizing. In this video, we're having a look at grouping. So what is grouping? It's when we have three or more terms and there's nothing in common across all of the terms, but we can see in certain groups they are common. So if you have a look at this example, you can see between the 2x and 2, there is a 2 in common. So there's a 2 in common over here. And if we look at the 3bx and the 3, that there is a 3 in common, or 3b in common. So if we look across the whole thing, there's nothing in common between all four terms, but there's something common between these two and something common between those two. So we are going to group our terms. So that just literally involves putting brackets. So then this here is 2x minus 2. This plus will go out. Now pluses are nice things, they don't change signs or anything, so that will remain 3bx minus 3b. And then what we're going to do is we're going to factorize what's common in the first bracket. So what's common in the first bracket is a 2x, 2. And then what we're going to be left with is x minus 1. And in the second bracket, what is common is that 3b. So we're going to take it out. So 3b, and we're going to have x minus 1. Now what you should notice is that both of these terms have this x minus 1 in common. So we're going to take it out as a common factor. Okay, and then what is left is the 2 plus 3b. Okay, and that is how we group and we factorize. It is quite straightforward. So if there's nothing in common between all of the terms, what we can do is we can group some of them so that we can have some things in common. Okay, so let us have a look at some examples. Now, please pause the video and try and attempt them by yourself before you go through them together with me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first one. So it is AB plus CB plus AD plus CD. Now you want to figure out how to group the terms. So we have a look and we see what do they have in common, or how can we group them. And you can group them in any way that you see fit. Now the first two terms, I see that they both have this B in common. Okay, and then the next two terms, they both have this D in common. So that's how I am going to group it. I'm going to group it as AB plus CB plus, and again there's a plus, so pluses don't do anything, so the sign stayed the same. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to factorize that B out of the first bracket and we get A plus C. And then I'm going to factorize the D out of the second bracket and then we get A plus C. Once again, if we have a look at it now, we see that this A plus C is common in both of the terms. So then we're going to factorize it out. And then what we left is B plus D. And there is a fully factorized term. Let's have a look at the second one. We have by minus cy minus b plus c. Now we see in the first bracket, they both have this y. I mean, the first two terms both have this y. And then the next two terms, they have this b plus c, but it's the wrong way. So we're going to group these two terms first. So by minus cy. And now please be careful, whenever we take out a minus, so let me take out the minus in red so you can remember, the signs of the two in the bracket would change. So the B was negative, now it is positive, and the C was positive, so it's negative. So when there's a plus between them, it doesn't do anything. But if there's a minus, we're going to then change the signs of the stuff in the bracket. Okay, so now let us take out that y as a common factor, and we have B minus C minus, and then we have B minus C. Now you can see that there is this B minus C as a common term. So we're going to take it out as the highest common factor. And what we're left with is y minus 1. Remember, when there's nothing written here, there's like an invisible 1. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So we have x to the power of 4 plus x to the power of 3 plus 4x plus 4. So they don't all have something in common. So we're going to look at what does have stuff in common. These two have x cubed in common, and these two have 4 in common. So let us group. So this here is x to the power of 4 plus x to the power of 3 plus 4x plus 4. Then let us take out the x cubed as common, and then we have x plus 1 once we factorize it, and here we have 4x plus 1. Once again, having a look over here, the x plus 1 is common between the two terms. So this here is x plus 1 times x cubed plus 4. Okay, let us have a look at the next one. So we have xk minus zk plus xm minus zm. And here we can see these two have a k. The first two terms have a k in common, and the second two terms have this m in common. So let us factorize. Let's first group. So we write xk minus zk plus xm minus zm. Now we're going to factorize. So we're going to take out a k from the first bracket and get x minus z. And from the second bracket, we're going to take out an m and get x minus z. And then this here then has the x minus z as a common factor. And then finally, we have k plus m. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one has already been partially grouped for us. So we can then, I'm just going to take this a squared and write it over here. So I'm just moving the terms. So it's k minus ak plus a squared minus k plus a. So all I've done was I've taken that a squared and just moved it. Okay, now what we can see is that the first two terms have a in common, so I'm going to group them. And then I'm going to take out that a that they have in common, and then we get k plus a minus k plus a. And then we see that they've got this k plus a in common. So then what we have is k plus a times a minus 1. Okay, please make sure that you have understood how to group terms and factorize those groupings and then factorize further. Please remember that when you have a minus, or when you've taken out the minus, it changes the signs of what goes in that bracket. And if you are uncertain on how to get the highest common factor or these factorizing techniques, please watch our previous videos. Okay, thank you.